It is very interesting to know that the government of Ghana is doing everything possible for cocoa farmers in our country, that is Ghana, so that they can be able to give the best result, or they can be able to produce the best cocoa beans in the world, or the best cocoa in the world when it comes to farm maintenance, when it comes to pest control, and application of fertilizers. In Ghana, the government has made it possible for cocoa farmers to be able to get agric extension officers. It cuts across other crops too, but the agric extension officer, when it comes to cocoa, has been in existence for a very long time. So they make sure they send all these individuals to the various communities that are actually into cocoa production, or they are actually into cocoa cultivation, and their duty is to make sure they guide and educate farmers on the appropriate chemicals they are supposed to use for their field, the appropriate things that they are supposed to do in their farms when it comes to pruning, application of fertilizer, pest and disease control in their farm. And these agric extension officers do not only just do that, they always also make sure that they serve as a connection between the government or the cocoa board and the farmers directly. And the government also makes sure that through the cocoa board they are able to provide chemicals for all cocoa farmers in Ghana, and they also give them fertilizers at a very subsidized price so that they can be used. This can actually be used in their farms. But what's actually happening in Ghana, aside all these measures that the government is trying to put in place, getting all these agric extension officers to be in the various communities to help and aid them in the cocoa cultivation? Well, most Ghanaian farmers, especially those that share borders with our neighboring countries or our sister countries like Togo, Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso, they still smuggle cocoa out of the country. Why do you think they keep doing this thing, or they kept doing all this thing all the time? Well, today I'm going to share with you something on this end, and that could be one of the reasons. That could be one of the reasons why they actually smuggling cocoa out of the country. Well, so yesterday a news came out, and it's been across all news portals in Ghana. They said Ghana Cocoa Board has announced that the producer price of 48,000 per ton, that is 3,000 per 64 kg bag, will remain unchanged for the 2025-2026 season, despite price increases in Cote d'Ivoire and other countries. So that is what they are saying. Despite price increases in Cote d'Ivoire and other countries, they are saying that they are still going to maintain the price. Well, let me tell you something. But I've been able to, have a conversation with some people around, and I realize that though they are not able to, gist you properly as to where they send their cocoa stuff to, but you've been able to realize that most cocoa farmers in most of our deprived communities are making like 8,500 per bag when they go sell their cocoa. As to where they go and be selling them, I don't know. I know some of them send them to our neighboring countries, and as to the exact place they go and sell all this cocoa, you and I cannot be able to tell. But they go and they make like 8,000 Ghana cedis per bag. Mind you, and in Ghana, that same bag is selling at 3,000 Ghana cedis. That's the 64 kg of cocoa bag. So they send it there. So if you should be able to get more cocoa bags, they are going to make lots of cash, and they are actually causing more damage and more harm to the government of Ghana, because the government always make sure they give them the best support that they can get to be able to produce more, to be able to produce the best quality cocoa in the world. In mind, we are the second largest producer of cocoa in Ghana, in the world now, aside Cote d'Ivoire, which is the first or the leading producers of cocoa in the world. And we are able to always tackle all these things to be able to encourage cocoa farmers to go into more. But it's like the price is not favoring most of the cocoa farmers in Ghana. So they felt that since our neighboring countries, people are buying them like 8,000 plus and co, they felt that that is the best place for them to send cocoa. There has been several reports of farmers smuggling cocoa out of the country to these our neighboring countries, where sometimes they actually impound their vehicles. We see tractors loading like woods, they load woods to other neighboring countries. They carry barrels as if they are transporting oil to other countries, only for custom officers to apprehend them and realize that all these things are cocoa beans that they are transporting to other countries to go and sell at an exorbitant fee. So what do you think the government of Ghana can do to be able to do that? Well, when the news came that there is not going to be any increment of cocoa prices, a lot of people were so sad and they were not happy. But then today, The Cocoa Board has issued another statement again, and we don't know which is which now to believe now. But then this is a statement they brought forth again. It's a press release from Cocoa Board, that is 9th April 2025. So Ghana Cocoa Board, all media houses, the public should disregard any statement suggesting a producer price announcement. So the public is advised to disregard any statement or news suggesting a decision or announcement on the producer price of cocoa. The reasons for the disregard are as follows. There is no board of directors in place, hence such a crucial decisions can never be taken. There should be in place a committee by name Producer Price Review Committee, which also is yet to be formed. So in view of the aforementioned reasons, there is no way such an announcement can be made. So that is the end of announcement. So that is what Cocoa Board is bringing out, that they don't have any board now to be able to determine prices, or they can be able to do any increment in prices. So until they are able to form a committee and have a board, there's nothing going to be like increment of prices now. So until they get a board, they are not actually going to focus on the increment of the cocoa prices, the 64 kg, or a new increment in prices. So they say all news that came out that they have decided that they are not going to increase the price. It's still going to be the 3,000 Ghana cedis per 64 kg. They should disregard that information, or the 48,000 per ton. They should actually disregard that information. But then, what do you think the government of Ghana can be able to do? Should they also increase their prices to meet the target? Because I know some people were actually expecting 100% increments. People were actually thinking the government can be able to increase it to like 5,000 Ghana cedis per 64 kg in Ghana here. Well, if we should move in most of our communities where people have skills that they use in weighing the cocoa before they can determine the price or the quantity to pay cocoa farmers, you realize that all these individuals now have the skills with them, but people hardly come to them to weigh cocoa. This means that most or majority of our cocoa beans are being smuggled out of the country, because all these communities that farm cocoa, they should be able to have a proper record that will be able to tell you that yes, the effort the government is putting in place, the cocoa farmers are also bringing their produce on board to be able to help the government purchase more, so that they can either process them or export them to the foreign world, so that they can use them in the production of cocoa chocolates. They can use them in production of any other thing that the cocoa can actually be used for. So let's wait, and also let's stick around and see what the Cocoa Board or the government of Ghana, the current government of Ghana, would actually do about the new prices of the whole. Is there going to be an increment, or they are still going to maintain the price based on all the things we're reading online now or in the news? If there's going to be an increment of price, that would be a good news for most of the farmers, and I'm sure that's going to reduce the smuggling of cocoa beans to other countries or our neighboring countries. But then if there is no increment, then we should be expecting more of the smuggling of the cocoa beans to all these neighboring countries that are giving them huge sums of money, and as compared to 3,000 Ghana cedis, 8,000 something Ghana cedis. Just do the math and see. Most of the farmers, they no longer care about what the government do for them, because they are thinking about the money they are going to gain from selling a bag of cocoa, which can give them 8,000 Ghana cedis or even more, as compared to sitting at home and maybe carrying to the school. And sometimes, the buyers in Ghana too, there's one big mistake on the part of the buyers in Ghana is sometimes when these farmers get to them, they send their bags of cocoa to them to sell, and it's like they don't have cash to offer them. They sometimes have to wait for some number of days before they can be able to get money to pay them. But these markets that these cocoa farmers smuggle cocoa to, they always pay them cash. Yeah, they give them cash, like Jean, at once. So this makes them or gives them more vim to be able to go to these localities or these communities to be selling cocoa beans to them. So I think we have to step up the game in Ghana so that we can be able to cut down the smuggling of cocoa beans to other countries or our neighboring communities. The government has to do more, because already the government is putting in all the best measures in place to be able to help in producing more of the cocoa and more of the best quality we can think of in the world. So let's put in more and more work so that the smuggling can actually be reduced in Ghana. If this is your first time of visiting the channel, hit on the subscription button you're seeing on the screen. Of course, my name is Christopher Ebenezer. Catch you in another episode.